Welcome to DNS vs Spirit. What you're watching right now is potentially the biggest game of their career. This game was the final game of the Cancer Civil War, a $25,000 tournament. Their teams were tied up 2-2, and these players were at Game 5 to decide who takes it all. And what I thought was super cool about this is that normally, DNS and Spirit are fantastic players, don't get me wrong, but they are not usually players you would see in the final. But this time, the matches aligned, so this match was the one who decided who would win the entire tournament. And here we go. Let's see how they perform under this super high pressure. Now, if you guys do enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I upload videos every single day. Don't miss out on any of them. Now, the matches before this, I think it was 2-1 for DNS's team, but then Spirit's team, I think it was Björn against Bunny, if I remember correctly. I'll put it on screen somewhere. And Björn actually won that game, making Spirit, putting him into a position where he could win the ace match for his team. And I thought it was super exciting because these, I mean, for you guys it's different. For you guys, they are just good players. For me, these guys are both my friends. DNS is one of my favorite Protoss players to watch, and Spirit one of my favorite Terrans to watch. I've done videos on him before, of course, on this Terran focused channel. But I've never casted him deciding a tournament before in Game 5. So that is super cool. Now, DNS already starting off with a bit of an annoying build. I think he went for a 12 scout or a pylon scout, annoying the SCV. For some reason, he doesn't feel like annoying him further, so that's nice for our boy Spirit over here. Now, Blackburn, these days, it's been a map that's definitely shifted a bit in terms of balance. I feel like early on it was considered a map good for Terran. Now it's figured out it is most definitely considered a Protoss map. But at the same time, the reason why it is considered a Protoss map, in my opinion, is because you cannot really attack Protoss on this map. Let me show you why. This is the only way you can attack the first 3 bases, unless you want to go all the way around. And you can just make a single battery here that's in range of the Nexus. Yeah, super battery does actually reach that far. And yeah, you will not be able to attack there anymore. And then beyond that, you know, you can annoy the gold a little bit, but by that point, Protoss is already maxed and they get stuff. But in this case, Spirit is a crazy good late game player. I would say DNS is also a pretty good macro player, honestly. But Spirit is... yeah, it's definitely his strength, the best late game Terran. It's not, I can't really put it that way because Hero Marine and Clem are so good in Europe that they might still be better than him in the late game. But compared to how good he is in the late game compared to his rest of his play, like relative, I think he might be the best late game player in Europe. So this map might actually play to his strengths in some way. I feel like I would never want to play on Blackburn against the Protoss. They'll save the Reaper, very well done. Yeah, I would choose to never play Blackburn against Protoss. Maybe if the Protoss is really good and I feel like I have some kind of meme prepared, like a nice meme build, like a cheeky penguin predators or whatever, I could consider playing on it. But otherwise, not my jam. And Piotr so far, Spirit is playing a completely standard macro game. Something that could evolve from this is maybe a 1-1-1 push, like a Marine Cyclone Viking attack or something like this. But besides that, it should just go into a normal macro game. It could also be that with a third CC behind. Now, DNS is making Phoenixes. Really good choice on this map. It is one of those maps where it's kind of like close by air. Even though it gets stopped by the slow zones, like these zones right here, you can see the Phoenix going very slow. These are slow zones, which make air a bit worse. But it is still a close by air map, so Phoenixes should control this entire area. On the mini-map, as you can see here, this entire area. Denying drops and all that. Now, Reaper Hellion gets 2 workers. It's fine. No biggie. I think he lost a Reaper and a Hellion for it, probably. Yeah, he did. And yeah, he's actually going for a 30C behind it. He only made 1 Cyclone so far, so he's probably not be going for a push. If you wanted to go for a push, you would start the Viking and the Cyclone and the Marines before the third. So even though you want to get your third later, you still want to make those units before so your push hits harder. It's just logic. And meanwhile, DNS going up to 4 gases means he's probably going to be playing Robo Bay. If it was less gases, there would probably be a Twilight going down at this point. But now it's a 4 gas Protoss. Robo Bay going down. And this is a situation that I personally usually struggle with. I find these builds so incredibly strong by Protoss. And yeah, I'm very excited to see how Spirit deals with this stuff. Because I feel like he is a very... like, he has his own way to deal with stuff. Like, he's very theoretical, but at the same time, he gets crazy sometimes with his responses. Like, I know he's not going to do it because he's making barracks, but if he would just, like, slap down a 4TC like that, I honestly would not be surprised. But he's keeping it simple. He added his barracks. He's getting his extra gases pretty fast. I imagine this is a double eBay. Double eBay indeed. Normally against Protoss, you do not get the double eBay so fast, but since he's playing 3rd CC, you can actually do that. DNS is making an Immortal. I think this is pretty good for Spirit, because an Immortal is something you make when you're afraid of getting pushed. And Spirit does not really seem to have any intention of attacking, so he could have used that to make extra gateways, save the chrono boost for something else as well. So that is not bad. Obviously, these things are such minor details, and with the game being so standard, these are not going to be the things that make the difference at all. Spirit's going 1-1. He is still making tanks, and tanks are honestly pretty bad against Protoss. They're good for some all-ins, but they are good if you want to sit back and chill. So that might be what Spirit is gonna be up to here. Let's see if he switches the add-on or not. If he makes another tank, then he's surely gonna play a very passive game. I feel like the only Terran that really all-ins with like a lot of tanks is like Hero Marine. He does like this weird 3-base all-in instead of 2-base and just makes like a shit ton of tanks and then kills you. Typical Gabe fashion, that only something that Gabe can do. Hallucination Phoenix scouting everything, but honestly, there is not that much interesting to see. I think against Spirit, you do want to figure out whether he's going to go for that late game fast or not. I mean, this says enough. If you see an Observer making 2 bunkers, I think you kind of know what's up. And if I know my DNS has 2 modes. He either has, I'm going to make Archons and 8 gateways and kill you mode, or he's going to go pretty hardcore, you know, into carriers even kind of late game. Now he is adding 4 more gates, means he's going to go up to 6 only, actually. He was only on 2 gates all this time. That seems kind of crazy. I guess he did have Phoenix production. Stargate obviously being one of the techs that is basically another production facility. Like you could go for a Twilight, but then you still have to add gateways. With Phoenix, however, you see, I think he made in total probably 6 or 7 Phoenix. I know he's lost at least 1. May have lost another one. That seems like a bit of a wasteful scan. Does annoy him though, gets those Phoenixes in the orange, which is nice. Now the is going to take the gold, which oh, the Marine actually perfectly sees it. Very well placed. It's pretty close. I wouldn't have guessed that it sees it, to be honest. Or actually, now I look at it from that angle, I do believe it. Yeah. This gold base is pretty insane, but it's one of my favorite gold bases, I have to say, because I feel like a gold base should always have a big weakness. And the weakness here is pretty obvious, right? You can just attack from behind. Like, imagine if you see some tanks here. But at the same time, the gold gives you a lot of minerals. So if you play, Protoss or Zerg mainly, you can make a lot of Zealots and Zerglings, which are those fast units that you want to deal with that. Now, Spirit in response is getting his own gold base. This is something you can only do if you're playing tanks, I think. How many tanks did he actually end up making? 3 siege tanks. The tech load is still there, which is... I figured he could have used it for a barracks if he wasn't going to make more tanks. Maybe he thinks he needs more tanks later. That could also be very possible. Now he has the Ghost Academy, he has the Armory too. Looks like he's going to prioritize the 2-2 over getting the Ghost down. Now, yeah, these units are all dead. That's... yeah, kind of a crazy move by Spirit. Like, to be fair, Cyclones don't really add any value anymore at that point. Like, it's the same in TvT or anything. At some point, Cyclones are just garbage, like it's a scout. But still, when there's Phoenixes out on the map, maybe it would have been nice to save those. I don't think the Vikings is a bigger loss. Like, Vikings is a unit he's probably gonna want to make anyway at some point. So he might as well have saved them. Okay, there's a dropout on the map. DNS has been very good with the map vision so far. Like, he's gonna kill about 2k resources while only losing a few units, 1 Phoenix. There you go. And 20 supply up. That is pretty scary. Now, like I said, it is really hard to attack on Blackburn. That obviously also goes for the other side. And look at this freaking wall that he's making, guys. It is 7 depots or so. A turret, 2 bunkers, tanks behind it. And Spirit is really kind of reversing this map. Like, normally Protoss loves to play on it because you can't die. But now Spirit is the one who can die. And DNS has a Prism here, but... he does have... oh, he has 30 more supply, actually. But it is a really big wall. There's Ghost and tanks. And I totally get that he wants to go for this, but yeah, he's gonna back off right away seeing that wall. It's actually 5 siege tanks now, so he did get back into tank production. And this is actually a bit frustrating for DNS, I think, because when you have that much more supply, you always want to try and end the game if you can. But the wall is just insane. Like, normally if people make a wall like this against Protoss attacks, I feel like it's kind of reactive. You put a few depots down when the units are there. But he has, you know, 7 depots already finished. Which, you know, Zealots are gonna derp very hard trying to attack this. And one thing that does surprise me a little bit is that he doesn't have Colossus attacking this. Now, Phoenixes are gonna go into the main base. It's really cool that he accompanied this with his Phoenixes. But the Warpin was a little bit ambitious. Obviously, Coulter sent units there in time. Now, there's actually enough Phoenix here, I think. No, there's not. There's one. Where's that Ghost that EMP'd? Oh, there it is. A Ghost are actually pretty hard to see if you're an observer. I don't know if it's the same if you play against them, but I feel like it's the same when I try to make thumbnails. If I put like a ghost in them, I feel like a lot of times you can't even see them. Like, it's actually a bit of a challenge. Now, he's actually making +1 vehicle weapons instead of air weapons. Normally, you would always go for the air attack so you can go into Liberators. But he's gonna prioritize the tank still. And what this says to me is, first of all, if someone plays like that, you already know they're a late game player. Because tanks, you just cannot really attack with them against Protons. You will die to a counter attack, you will die to a surround, you will die to DTs. It's just not a unit you can attack with, so... The fact that he's even going for vehicle weapons, that is actually insane. Gets a scan into the main. This is a very Spirit move. Spirit really loves his big drops. He gets like an even EMPs the Dark Shrine. Wow. That's how much he hates DTs, guys. You guys saw that? There's the EMP the Dark Shrine. So he sets up this position and he's really confident in defending that. And then he straight up sends 40 supply across the map. Gets a lot of damage done. And if you look at the army supply, you'd be like, well, was that great? But if you look at the worker count, suddenly Spirit is going to have a really good economy. He's getting his 5th base up here. And all in all, very good trade. I think at some point he also wants to switch to getting better units. He wants to get more Vikings, more Liberators, more Ghosts. So losing those bio units, not the biggest deal. If he lost it for nothing, however, he would definitely be open to a counter attack. Like, for example, you can attack this base and at some point you will have to split your tanks, put 3 here and only keep a few at the bottom, and then you might be in trouble. Now, DNS is going for carriers, and this is when the late game usually gets shut down. Carriers, I know, guys, you guys struggle with them, but it's the same for Pro Terrans. Carriers are just an absolutely insane late game unit. You usually do not want to be moving out anymore when there's too many carriers. You need to sit behind turrets, because a straight up fight against carriers, you're probably not going to win that. The way you usually want to approach it is you kind of pick them off one by one with the Vikings coming from the side when they don't expect it. Fleeing when the interceptors are out, and... Spirit is a player that's good in that, so we're gonna have to see. For most people, I would honestly not advise trying to play a proper late game against carriers, because that shit is just... Oh man, the frustration is just... It's you can smell it in the air, you know. It's just coming out of me. And I think it's the same for you guys. I know no one likes to play against the carriers. Now, he is gonna see the carriers fast. This is important. I think that is very problematic, is that sometimes you just see the carriers for the first time when there's already 6 with +2. And it's a really big problem. Now he pretty much sees the first carrier coming out. The 2 Stargates are up here as well. And that means he will be able to add extra starports or whatever he wants to do. And Spirit is actually going to go for a fusion core here. Now DN is finally going behind that main. Spirit has it pretty well defended though. Big Sun EMPs. 4 tanks sieging that. He tried... I think he maybe thought that this was an Endrus already. That's also a thing about the gold base. At some point it gets mined out. And then it becomes a bit of a liability at the same time. Because Zealots will be able to walk through the minerals and whatnot. Now, the fusion core. This could mean a few things. So, if I make a fusion core, it will be for Liberator range. If Spirit makes a fusion core, there could be battlecruisers on the way, guys. I think maybe, or both. You could also go for Liberator range first and then BCs. But I do know that he likes his battlecruisers. DNS is being a bit aggressive here. And even here, you could already see the problem of dealing with interceptors. A few of Spirit's units dying, trading them for interceptors. But interceptors, they honestly do not cost that much. Though, I say that, but at some point, if that map gets split in half and DNS does not manage to get these bases, interceptors could actually become quite costly if you don't have minerals anymore. That is the weakness of the carrier. If you do get like a very scrappy game, even if there's not a lot of minerals, you do need them to make the interceptors. So if you really run out, if you get mined out, you could be in trouble. Now, how many Vikings do we have? We have 6 and 6 more on the way. Liberator range is coming out, so it's not battlecruisers. At least not yet. Also has a really nice wall over here with the CCs. One Stalker just torturing him right now. Making more turrets at the front. He is not quite behind his depot, so it could be scary, but actually, this what DNS has is not the kind of army you can tack in with. Archon Immortal Disruptor, we get absolutely shredded by EMP and siege tanks, so definitely wise by DNS to not go there. DT Blink on the way. Seems like we're pretty much getting every late game stuff out right now. EMP for the Ghost is up, of course. And Spirit is going to have to make a shit ton of Vikings to deal with this amount of carriers. 16 carriers. If you want to trade Viking against carrier purely, you usually want to have about 3 Vikings per carrier. The problem becomes when there's also a lot of Stalkers or even worse Storm on the field. Because then Vikings have 135 health, guys. One Storm, you know, it feels like it almost kills them. Now see, this is what I was talking about. He goes in, snipes one carrier, and he backs out. You never want to fight against the interceptors. You always want to make moves like this. Now the air upgrades are way better for DNS. He has +2, and Spirit has no attack yet. This is his first attack upgrade for the air. He does have +1 armor. Now he keeps sending these drops. Ooh, that's scary. These drops might get sandwiched here. Obviously running away from carries is pretty hard. Let's see. Yeah. That's 30 supply that's gonna go down. Maybe you'll get an Archon for it at least. Or some more units. Let's see. One medevac survives? No, a little bit of a misclick there. I mean, that drop was kind of suicidal to begin with. That's also... Why is this... Huh? Ah, okay, I guess it was gonna land here. A little bit of a mistake. I can't criticize this too much because honestly, I do this all the time. I don't know how, but it just happens. Like, I'm literally fighting and I'm multitasking and I'm so good at this game, and then my CC is like here, you know, instead of at my third base or whatever. Like, legitimately, it's pretty bad. Now, Spirit is not for making any of those buy units, as you can see. He's making a few Marines now because he thinks he might be getting attacked, but he was mostly just getting Vikings, Libs, and Ghost. And there is the Yamato, guys, and the nuke. So Spirit is really going all out on this one. Yeah, the nukes. I mean, nukes can actually be pretty good. I think on this map, there's some situations where nukes can be good. Like you could, for example, drop a nuke like here or here, and it's like a little bit harder to spot, and it could kill the entire gold mineral line. Obviously, it's just a few patches, so the probes are very centered. Battlecruisers, however, like I don't really believe in them, to be honest. It takes so long to get them out. Just look at this. There's 8 carriers on the map. He's making 1 BC. Just look at that bar, okay? It's like watching paint dry, honestly. Like, Battlecruiser's building, it just takes too long. Like, in the meantime, DNS has 2 more carriers with his chrono boost, you know, and we're just watching this freaking bar go. It's insane. But I guess if you have the time, if he gets this base up with enough turrets, he could survive. He got another carrier, I think, there. Actually, very well done. He wants another one. It's not that many Stalkers if you look at it. It's like 8, 9 Stalkers here. I mean, they one-shot a Viking, but if you get a carrier for 2 Vikings, you're pretty happy. Honestly, even if you get a carrier for 3 Vikings, you're pretty happy. Because it means just the raw, like, momentum death ball of the Protoss is gone a little bit, which is really good. Now, he is really spending all of his supply on battlecruisers right now. He does not have a single medevac, by the way. He actually sent out every single medevac. Means that he really wants to go pure Ghost BC Liberator. Or a Viking, rather. I'm surprised DNS hasn't sacked the Phoenix. I mean, I know he only has 1 left, but usually you'll see them just click the Phoenix into the army to lose it. There we go. Now you can make a Tempest instead. Now DNS is just going in here. Oh, but the Vikings are in a perfect position. This is what I mean. Interceptors are all on the top, and now the Vikings just get to shoot from the side. This fight could not have gone any better. He needs to recall, but he lost so many units already. I think he lost 6 carriers there. And that was the perfect fight, the perfect example of how you want to fight against carriers. Right there. I could not have shown it any better. The Interceptors were on the top, which means they weren't attacking the Vikings, and the Vikings came from the side and sneaked in those carriers. Like I said before, you never want to fight those directly with the Vikings, because Vikings are honestly made out of paper. So the way he handled that was just perfect. Now with this army, I mean, it's a big army, but can you really attack with this? It's just Vikings, really. He has Vikings and 2 tanks and some scraps, you know, some Ghost and Bio. He does have 3 BCs here. There's a nuke going down here as well. Oh, I thought the Interceptor was going to get that, actually. Now, DNS is trying to get this base on the top. Means he is up 1 base right now. Let's see what this nuke kills. Oh, yeah, I mean, 1 cannon. That's not even worth it, actually, thinking about it. I really thought the nuke was going to kill more, but the radius makes it do not that much damage on the buildings on the outside, really. Now, the Spirit needs to deny this base, or take this base himself. I think TvP in the late game, it's okay to be split. Usually, Protoss gets all the bases just because their army is more mobile in the late game. Like, you want to get less and less bio as time goes on, and at some point, if you have an army like this, Viking goes Lib, you just kind of have to be careful where you go. The BCs, however, you can just roam them around because they have the teleport. Here, he could recall to this Nexus. I don't even know if he will do that, to be honest. Like, there's not even any probes mining here. One move you can also do is you can actually just Yamato the Nexus as well and get out. It's a kill. Now, do we have enough Vikings? There's actually only 3 carriers out here. So the main danger here is the Tempest. We don't have Storm on the field, right? No, we don't. A little bit of a misclick by DNS there, looks like. And so far, the trades have been really insane. Those Vikings are all getting low HP, though. I think we should really back off and get a repair on those. Like, the fight looks insane. But attacking through these slow zones is very tough. Tempest also. they really dunk on battlecruisers. Like, it's kind of underestimated, but Tempest really beat BCs pretty handily. I think if you have similar supply in Tempest and BCs, even without kiting with the Tempest, you win. Like, if you just stand there and attack the BCs and take the Yamatos, I think you still win. Like, Tempests are actually that good against BCs. And obviously, like you saw what DNS was doing, he was flying back, shooting once, flying back. Then it's not even close anymore. I was nuking this base, but there's actually not a single probe there. I'm surprised we haven't seen a nuke on this base yet. There's one DT in this main is being very annoying. Even blinks out. Please hunt it down. Oh my god, the damage on those things. How much damage does that do? Was that 57? That's a lot of damage. Hey. Oh, that's actually cute. A DT and an Observer is a really good squad to clean up nukes, isn't it? Because like a Zella would get sniped, or for this you'd actually need a scan as well. Oh my god, the DT. Please don't kill the Starport. Imagine if that DT cancelled the BC, if it was like a little bit faster. Drops a mule. I find it surprising that there's no turrets in this main base, by the way. I feel like you would always make turrets in the main base against prisms and stuff these days against Protoss. Now, let's see. DNS has almost all the upgrades. Spirit also has almost all the upgrades. He just needs the +3 air attack. DNS still has the... Well, Protoss has like the weird thing when their shields are split in two, basically. So he has +1 air armor and +2 shields overall. That shield even counts for buildings, right? Like, I can't see it right now, but I'm pretty sure that shield also counts for buildings. How many... This looks like an enormous Tempest wall. 14 Tempest. Yeah. I'm getting kind of scared. Like, so far, the trades have been insane, right? 4k in favor of the Terran, 5k in favor of the Terran, which is really, really good. Oh, the Blinkin! This is an insane fight. Let's go. This is when they're really good against the Tempest. We should have seen a recall here. Okay, he's still gonna do it. Takes a lot of losses, though. I think he... I don't know how many Tempests he lost, but they took a lot of damage. That's basically the counter to this. I think in theory, a Protoss should win in this kind of game. Because what happens is, you can teleport on top of the Tempest, but then you instantly recall. And then the teleport is off cooldown for, I think it's 80 seconds. And you can kind of get chased around. And ideally, Protoss even makes a mothership so you have 2 recalls. But in the end, it's just a dance. Like right now, the Vikings are getting on top. And the Vikings are doing amazing against the Tempest. Like so far, Spirit has owned them in every fight, I think. Right now, it's like a 9k difference, units lost almost. We need to get more Vikings as he is producing. Do we still have enough Ghost? 3 Ghosts? Probably could be a bit more. Like, he really is just maxed on BC Viking for the most part. Now, he hasn't tried to take this base yet, which could be big. But at the same time, if you have Tempest with that much range over here, can you ever really get this base? It sounds crazy, but it might even be better for Spirit to make a little bit of bio and try to take this base in the top instead, because... Yeah, this base against Tempest looks like a nightmare, especially if you need to... Like, you can't even come in from here, because you have to navigate around the slow zone. Making 5 turrets. That one DT is gonna take care of all of it. And DTs are so annoying. No wonder he targeted the Darkshire when he did that drop, huh? Look at this. Yamato it. Give it the punishment it deserves. Oh, sad. Alright, army supply 122 against 137. Yeah, DNS still has 14 Tempest and he has this battery zone over here. Nukes are actually pretty good here, but I think DNS has enough detection and enough awareness to not let this get nuked. Like, a way that I've seen, for example, Trap deal with late game Terran is just build mass batteries and cannons in front of the Terran base and then just siege from there. Because even in the late game when you have so much damage, you still do not really want to fight into batteries and stuff. Like, if batteries were no big deal, Spirit would have fought into this before. But he decided to back off every time. And it was mostly the Tempest plus the battery combo. Now, the battlecruiser harassment has been fantastic, guys. How many workers have we killed? 47 against 35. Pretty even, honestly. And now we have 2 nukes getting up. Where's the other Ghost Academy? There we go. 2 nukes at the same time. I've tried to spam nukes before. I feel like, you know, highlight clips are really cool. And since I'm a YouTuber, I should probably go for that stuff more. But they usually don't land. I feel like nukes are most of the time a waste of money. Oh, that's a really cool EMP right there. So it doesn't... Oh my god, you just get one shot. There's so much happening. I need to cut off my sentences all the time. It's a really good EMP on the Oracle, but it's still got a revelation off. Now, the tanks are moving forward, but it is a slow zone, which means that he can't really defend those properly. Yeah, this one BC is actually just taking care of this base on its own. That's the best thing about BCs. It's so hard to get them, but now he has them. I'm starting to like them, you know, because he... Yeah, these BCs are actually doing God's work, just killing the bases on top. Now, this nuke is actually going to land. That's a really good nuke. Probably going to kill 2 batteries, right? Oh yeah, a cannon, a battery, and a pylon, I believe. Oh, he barely got that revelation. I thought he actually missed for a second. He always can use disruptors, of course, to kill it anyway, even if you don't see it. Now, oh. Alright, I guess we're mining like this. I think he made the PF before realizing he was going to kill the Nexus. He should make another command center here, I think. That's the only way to do it. Looks a bit... This is literally giving him like 20 minerals a minute income if you mine like that, you know, like that's tragic. Now, what are the army compositions like? 10 BCs, 24 Vikings against 14 Tempest. You would say the Terrans should win that pretty handily. 5 carriers coming out. I think he might as well have made more carriers. The thing I'm really missing here the most is Storm. Because Storm would make the Vikings almost useless, just like that, you know. Like, Vikings just don't do anything against Storm. And you can say, well, you can EMP, but you try to EMP every single Templar that's everywhere, you know. It's hard, especially if you're attacking into a position. Now, what he could do is try to put those tanks forward. I would actually, now I think about it, I would really like the tanks to be up here instead. Like, that would be such a cool position if the tanks were, like, shelling the batteries and the gas from here. Oh, no, he might lose them. How much damage do the Tempest do with the ground, or with the upgrade against the buildings? I'm actually not sure. Looks like they're shooting, like, Cheetos balls. A little bit. Oh, I think Filter's gonna go for it. Here we go. EMP's on the top. Yeah, he gets the EMPs off, but there are batteries here. It looks like a good fight initially. Let's see, this is actually so hard to call. I think fighting in these batteries is probably still a mistake, though. Like, yeah, it looks like Spirit's army is insane, but you cannot really fight in these batteries, guys. It's so hard to call this, though. The Tempests are half gone, the carriers are pretty much all gone, but there's so many Stalkers alive, and now he just has mass Vikings against a Stalker Tempest ball, and that was a massive overextension from Spirit here. Now the resources loss is really close. I would say DNS probably gained about 6k in that trade. And now he's going to be able to move forward. And Spirit is making BCs, but we talked about it, guys. BCs build so slow. Can he get those up before he loses a ton of command centers? The Disruptor Ball on those SCVs would be nice. And what is he making? He's making more Tempest. Honestly, at this point, I think I would have preferred just Gateway units. Now, Spirit does have Ghost Battlecruiser Viking up this ramp. DNS is trying to push in, but he blinked back the Stalkers, means he can't blink on top of the Vikings. You see the Tempest are going down here on the left side. And even if you feel like they don't have that much value here, the Tempest are very expensive. There's a tank here that is not being sniped. EMP on the Gateway units on the ramp. And I think DNS was about to kill him, but he has completely botched his attack by going up the ramp. And now, Spirit is mining 50 minerals a minute from there, which is huge. Teleports the BC in from the top somewhere. If we look at the income now, DNS is still definitely favored, but Spirit is going to get this base back at some point, and then it'll be a different story. But still, DNS has Tempest, he has a lot of batteries, he has more money. He has enough money to ARP in about, yeah, 10 Gateway units, 10 Stalkers, I was going to say. Oh man, but Spirit now has a 50 army supply lead, guys, and in those 50 army supply is 6 battlecruisers. Or actually 7, because the production tab counts, right? Now please, imagine if he lifted one of the CCs there. If he kills this turret, the CC would fit. That is actually so tragic that he's mining long distance from there. You see, the income is just the same, but his income would be way better if this was just close. Like, this is a fully saturated base. Now all Spirit is doing here is denying this base, because obviously, yeah, this is DNS last base, right? Yeah, this is absolute last base. He's mining from half a base. He wants to get either this base or this base, but instead Spirit has all of them. He has control of this base now. Yeah, he almost has control of this. He just doesn't have a CC there, and he's mining on the top. Now DNS, good move here that he's going to deny this base, obviously, without units here. You know, repair is cool and all, but it's not going to save your base from this amount of units. And that is going to cut Spirit's economy in half. There's no SCVs here yet. But now you will be able to transfer these SCVs back over. And Spirit is actually using the time to go in here. There's a recall happening, but there are a lot of batteries here. Spirit's army does look insane, though. Let's see where the Yamatos are going to land. Took down one of the Tempest, and I think he Yamato'd the battery as well. Now he's teleporting back those weak BCs from the Tempest. Like, Tempest do like 60 damage against Massive Air, I think. So, yeah, as you can see, that's only 3 Tempest shooting that, guys. That's so much damage done. So wisely teleported back. He might lose this base in the meantime, though. Like, at this point, Spirit is the only one really mining. Like, this is half a base and this is a full base. Or almost a full base. So the economies are both tragic, but Spirit definitely has more. And he has more army supply. And I honestly think with that attack on the ramp that DNS messed up, the tournament may have been decided, even though he made a good move denying this base on the top. The amount of units he lost there was just a little bit too big. And now, there's no Disruptors here, I believe. And yeah, there's never been Storm. So at this point, Spirit can go for it. I can confidently say he can go for it and he would win. The thing usually stopping this from Terran is just a few Disruptors, a few Storms. Because this Bio army, it looks big. One Disruptor and it's not so big anymore, right? So you always want to be careful. But since this is only Tempest Gateway units, you don't even have to split. You can ball up EMP and just push through. But instead, he's going to play it smart. He's going to make 6 more SCVs from all of his CCs. He's going to get his economy back. And maybe that's the wise choice too. Because we see he has 60 army supply up. For him, it maybe feels like he's only 30 army supply up or so. That's actually pretty hard to judge for the most part. Now, DNS is going to get this base back on the top. I do like how they've both really fought for everything in this game. Like, they never gave up. And even now, from DNS's POV, it looks like he still has a chance. He has 6 Tempests, which is really good against the BCs. Now, Spirit is just going in. Here we go. There's one Disruptor. He needs to split against that. He's actually not shooting the Disruptor. That is so important. He's just going to let it slip. And now the Yamato's on the Tempest. Vikings there as well. And there's just no... Even if the BCs go on without dying, there's no splash damage for the Bio here. And that is the biggest problem. Obviously, this is the game of the tournament, guys. And DNS does not want to give up. But at this point, it has been done for Spirit. Zealot might actually kill that Orbital, but it's not enough. And Spirit takes... one of the coolest games I've seen. And I'm so happy that maybe the biggest game of their career, possibly, was such a banger. And oh man, I'm actually out of breath a little bit. My mouth hurts from talking. Or my jaw. That was a crazy game. A really cool late game from Spirit. I feel like they both made some big mistakes. They played such a good game, but then a few engagement mistakes, like Spirit attacking here into the batteries, into DNS kind of like counter throwing on the ramp. But a super exciting game to close the tournament. Yeah, big congrats to Spirit and his team, of course, for winning it. And to you guys, hope you really enjoyed it. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. Comment any suggestions for other games you would like to see cast. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.